Testing, testing. One, two, three.
Peace. How you doing, bro?
Peace. Doing. I am doing. It is happening.
Word. It's been a
That's
minute.
that's the new term. It's happening.
It's happening. It's happening, yo.
Everything is happening.
That's what's
How's
up.
everything with you?
Everything is good, man. You know,
Right
uh,
on.
just uh feeling good about creativity and as always wanting to make sure that I have a very good circle of people around me that get the creative process. And it's a good some really hardcore people that I could bounce ideas off of, and vice versa, so that we,
Yeah, indeed.
we're
Yeah,
all in tune with it. You know what I mean?
I can dig it. I can
Right.
dig it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just I hope that I sound okay, that everything
You
looks okay on your end.
you're straight. Everything is good to go.
Right on.
So
Yeah. I just had to find a room, so I'm not in my work room. Because everyone is they're either asleep or they're about to go to sleep or but I'm here because I had to handle some other stuff, but
all right.
I'm in Jack's room right now, so like I have a lot of my stuff from my space, so this is sort of like the roads, the when the roads meet, whatever. So I have like a lot of like this stuff is laying around and a lot of my other supplies,
All right.
so
No, that's
just
what's
have a
up.
lot of stuff, man. So
That's
much
what's up.
stuff.
I'm glad to see it though. I love seeing, you know, I remember when I was younger, uh uh I can't remember if it was my mother or somebody, but they gifted me like a sticker, and it was those that cartoon Ziggy.
Oh
And
yeah, that little fat kid.
yeah, the little fat kid, right? And it was a white picket fence, and on the picket fence, uh he did it with a spray paint or with paint, whatever, and it said creativity is not a pretty sight. And that, I mean, this was, I had to have been maybe 10 years old, somewhere younger.
Right.
I was in elementary school.
Yeah,
um
yeah.
but that imagery stayed with me, and that's what kind of opened me up to, like, our creative process is always going to be, it's not always going to be smooth and clean and everything, super pristine. It's going to get muddy, and you know we're going to have difficulty, but working through it is part of the actual process.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. That reminds me of that sign when we're on the road and like when we're going down south on 95, whatever. It says like slow down,
Mhm.
work, workmen up ahead or whatever.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, outside of that shit, I think that it runs parallel to this shit because when you're in that zone, like you really need to like you yourself need to slow down and those that are around you have to slow down because when you're just about to like turn that key, like, yo, I have this dope idea. I gotta have this idea, like, and you just have to make sure that those that are rocking around you, you have to keep them like stay over there and let me just get this song out. Let me just
Right.
get this thing. It's right there. Just take it easy. And like those that don't know, just they either will think they know, but they never do.
Right.
You know,
Oh shit.
you
Yeah.
know, like leave that alone. What's wrong with Poppy? What's wrong with Poppy? Poppy's just trying to make sense of this of of his own shit. Leave him alone. But yeah, but you're always making shit, and it's like it's always gonna be if not like an actual physical mess, there's always a mess that you have to try to sort through.
Right.
And then, you're like, all right, cool. Like if I need to do this, like right now, I'm at that point myself where I'm like, all right, cool. There's a bunch of work that I want to do, and I'm already, what do you call this shit? Like it's like when you're visualizing it, right? So like I'm visualizing what the technical side of the next body of work is going to be, and I'm like, okay, cool. So do I involve screen printing? I have to think about all the technical, the logistical side. Like, okay, cool. If I decide to screen print, where am I going to screen print this shit?
Mhm.
Like, do I have dough to make like screens that are 6 feet tall? No,
Right.
you don't. So how do you make it work? Like, like how do you build that language about like what you want to get done? So it's here. I see it, but how am I going to do that?
Yeah.
So I'm at that point now where I'm like, all right, cool. So taking out my notes and trying to like see it already, and like I see it. I'm already done. I actually see the stuff painted, and it's actually hanging already. And it's in the show. You
That is
know.
crazy. Like, you know, that clarity, right?
Yeah.
That's already showing like it's a great thing. I do recall that there was a time when we used to talk and sometimes we would be able to see things and we would talk about the process and we didn't always want to uh fall into the category of being repetitive, becoming
Hmm.
redundant. Um and I like, there's few people that I get super excited talking with. And when it comes to the artistic process, you're a person that I'm, I love to wave, the bluster flag. Like you're a dude that I feel is long overdue, and I'm itching and waiting for when you get, your just rewards for it, because you've always been one of the most creative people that I know personally. You
That's
know,
interesting. Thank you, man. Yeah. Thanks.
I
But
yeah, I think about it, even like back in the days, you know, uh, you were also one of the few people that would take time to just chop it up, no matter what was going on. You know,
yeah, because I need, like you're saying, like it's important that 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 the tribe has people to be like, yeah, man, what do you think about this?
right?
Because if you don't know this language, then where is it that you fall? Like, why am I gonna ask you?
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna be like, Pop, like, what do you think if I do the fill like this? He's gonna be like, what fill? What are you talking about? Just go, you know.
Right.
Like, so like, yeah, no, it's the same thing, man. I feel the same way, with you, like with you, with views and the rest of the guys too. Like, you just need to like definitely stop and like be like, look, man, trying to knock this shit out. What do you think about this? And it's like, yo, it's good to have that open dialogue,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think it's ever gonna end. I don't think like I've just been really in thought about like, like there's so like folks say like, yo, there's so much that's going on in this world right now. It's like, yeah, man, but it's it's been like that for a very, very long time. But like right now, I feel like everyone is feeling the pinch. But it's like, yo,
You
we've been getting pinched for a long time.
right.
Like, yes, yeah. What, you're only now beginning to feel the pinch, bro? Like,
Right. Right.
it's been a pinch bath for a very long time. Like, yo, enough,
Shoot.
you know?
Yeah. There was a post you did uh um on your IG feed, and
Mm.
uh like there was something I was going through, because I tend to just take time to go through, and like I sent you that screen grab, like that dude, that little doodle you did spoke to me, right?
The
And
little hand face man.
yeah, I think no, it was the foot face dude.
Was it a foot? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
foot.
it was a
I was
foot
like,
man.
yeah, he spoke to me. I'm like, so I want to figure something out. We could top that up and try to
Please
figure
do.
out how we could try to bring that to life, like just something real quick
Yeah,
and
yeah.
fun. But there was something you wrote on different posts, and it was addressing the like 50 years of hip hop, the whole thing, and but what you had written was a lot deeper, right? Because it was more of not just trying to celebrate the sonic aspect of it. It was more of um how it has brought a certain level of uh awareness, right? Raising the
Yeah.
level of consciousness. And of course, being conscious of your peer group, being conscious of your surroundings, and how that expands and grows. Like what you wrote and the way that you summed it up was just like so on point that it's like, just to try to say, yeah, 50 years, celebrating 50 years, that's nothing. It's like you have to show the outcome of all that hard work, and what and how do you translate that 50 years in what you do every day, right? And that's how I was taking it. It was like, you have to be able to show and prove, because so much was put into it, and we ourselves contributed in different ways. So now, how is it that we can bring it forward? And it was the simplest things, by explaining something to our kids, and just helping them relate, and piecing things together is more important than this is all it is, and trying to just package it and make it all nice and neat, because that process was not a nice little neat process,
Yeah. Yeah.
um but it was super spot on the way that you you know
Yeah. I honestly don't remember what I wrote, but I do know that that the 50 years of hip hop, the whole like I think I think it's multi-layered, right? I think it's an important thing to stop and be like, all right, wow, so like we've been part of this we've been part of this culture. This culture has been going on for this amount of years
right.
because we were and are participants. Like, how do you stop and be like, wow, we've been doing this for 50 years? Because it's just what we do. It just so happens that this is what it is. What I don't like about it is that for those that are not down with it, those people that see it like that it's an opportunity
Mm,
to do these different things and it's done under that flag, I think it's whack. But
yeah.
I was speaking about this to my sister Shara, and she was like, "Yo, because like I don't want to be the guy that's always like me, Mr. Mustard, where I'm like, humbug." But she just was like, yeah, like she just was like, "Yo, man, like I hear you," but she was like, "You have to see it as an opportunity to straighten the facts. Like they are giving you the microphone, so take the microphone
Mm,
and set the shit straight
right.
because it's your history, it's my history, it's this history that if we don't set it straight now, 50 years later on, they'll be like, wait, fucking Ben's who?
Right. Right.
Who? EMB what? What is that? So she said that you have to take this time right now to just make sure that the history is right. So that's what I'm doing. I just don't like the whole like because of 50 years of hip hop. I don't want to do that, but I understand that it needs to be made more now because I don't want to go back to it. Like be like, no, but I don't want to. Nah. So let's get it straight now. Like, yeah, man, we've been doing this for a very long time. The fact is that we have influenced millions of people, not just on the block, but like globally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's not just here in Manhattan or Brooklyn. It's not, it's like it's all over the world. folks are doing this shit. Like whether you're breaking, emceeing, or making art, or whatever the case is. And it's like, I just want to see it see it expand
Mhm.
into like more things than just like the dance, the music. Like there's so much more that we can do
Right.
that I hope at some point someone's like, oh shit, the fuck is this? Fucking hip hop, like, I don't know, like hip hop carpentry. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Like, like make it some next shit. Like we don't need another portrait of Biggie. Like we got it. What else is there?
You know that like recently, like we spoke real briefly before recently, when we went to Miami, right? And it
Right.
for me, where I'm currently at, it's very sterile, right?
Mhm. What
It,
is it?
it's just super suburbia lifestyle, right?
But what is?
The surroundings. There's no
Right.
there's
Okay.
there's no real you know, I'm not going to use the term grit or grittiness, but there's just it's very sterile. Like it can use some color in that sense. So
Right. You talking about down south, you mean,
visually,
or
yeah. Well, not see, I'm not in. When you go further into the city, of course, the city is a lot more vibrant.
right?
I'm not in the city. I'm in the suburbs, right? So, it was like when we went there, uh, we were just trying to figure out different things with the kids and taking different museums and just walk through the city. The kids, all I remember was when we were younger, we walked everywhere. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like that was it. It
Yeah.
didn't matter. But I mean, kids now, my kids are like, oh, 10-minute walk, that's too far. Like it was just the craziest and funniest things at time. But so we
Yep.
just did a walkabout through the city, and it was really great to see how far art was taken and accepted and embraced. And I'm using the
Mm.
term art because it wasn't just graph, it wasn't just dudes piecing and characters. It was like a real good combination of, the artsy dude, um, the muralist guy, street art guy, and the graffiti aspect. And then of course, going to see the Museum of Graffiti, which was really it was just something really wonderful to see,
That's
right?
awesome.
It was like the kids saw it, and I would tell them about certain artists and try to show them like, oh yeah, this person came up doing this, and try to give a little bit of history about different writers, and just because they're super well known now, that's not how they started out. Like,
Yeah.
and just to show like they were at one point doing things that were not, perceived as legit. They were just going for it, right? Um,
Right.
and like the way that is presented there, and I feel like it's so necessary, even more so with everything that's surrounding it now in this day and
Right.
age.
Mm.
And it's really there to raise a flag to be like before this was considered, acceptable in society. This is what it was, and this is still the purest point of it.
Right.
You can never have all of this today without this.
Yeah.
There were limited cans of color, there was limited um avenues to, or we're pretty much painting on whatever we wanted to.
Right.
And it was deemed illegal, and it was taboo, and this day and age it is like you could tell somebody, yeah, I do graffiti, and they'd be like, oh wow, that's awesome. And it's just it's just weird because you never want to say that to somebody, and
Yeah,
they'd always look at you as like you just a derelict, or there's nothing more to you. You just
right.
a stain on society. So uh, I felt there was a really beautiful thing for them to have, and between Ket and Mare, like that thing is just friggin', it's just awesome. you know
Yeah, yeah.
so it's
Um,
definitely worth a trip for sure.
yeah, we're gonna plan to go real soon. I am not almost, I'm very embarrassed that I haven't gone yet, but um, we're gonna have to go and sort of like just, you know, catch the fever, you know?
Right, right.
Um, I think when you say that, a year ago I was painting I was painting this backdrop with with the brother Doves um for a show that Kate Storch was doing,
uh,
the Landmark show. And so we were just outside. It was in the Lower East Side, and we had this sheet up. We were just doing, like little joints, whatever. And I remember this one kid who was from the Midwest. This kid was kind of you could tell the kid must have been like maybe 14 or 15, but like a thick kid. He was like, yo, whatever, whatever. And he was like, can you sign my book? And I was like, sure, man. Yeah, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, let me get the book. And so he's going on and on about different spots. Like, yeah, well, me and my dad, we went down to the scrapyard and I met blah, blah, blah. And I met such and such and whatever, whatever. And I'm like, are you from here? He's like, no, I'm from the mid, I'm from, I don't know. But he came to New York. It was him and his dad. His dad had brought him out here to come catch the fever. And I'm like, wait a second, your dad brought you here to meet fucking graffiti writers? And yo, with no, like the kid wasn't smirking. He was about his business. He's like, yeah. And I think they said that he met James Top. Like he met a bunch of people, like the dude had went around and met people. I think this was during, I don't know for a fact, but there was some big event that was going on.
right.
I don't know if it was like the Hall of Fame or I don't know what it was,
Right.
but the kid was like that, like he was amped, and I thought that that was dope. And then his dad was like, "So, is anything that you might want to share with my son?" I don't know what to say. I'm just really in awe that you are about this, like,
Right.
because like that he can get busted and he could do like it could end up not so nice for him,
Right.
you know? But he was like, no, it's great, it's okay, it's problem, it's good. I'm like, all right, man, well, rock on, but the kid was amped and he had his book was bomb tagged, whatever. And so I think that's cool. I also met up with this other cat yesterday, actually.
Mhm.
I don't want to say what he wrote, but he was a good dude and he was like, yo, bro, he was like, yo, it's amazing like how big this culture of ours has become. I'm like, yeah. He goes, he was like, yeah, I'm I'm 40 and I've been writing since whatever, whatever. Yeah. I'm 54 and I still do this bullshit. He was like, that's great. I'm like, yeah, man. And it just was, not that he was not that he was a young cat, but just the fact that like when you meet when someone you meet someone who does this shit,
Mhm.
like there's a level of like it's not like I guess it would be camaraderie
Mm.
is built because it's like, yo, you and I can talk about fat caps and skinny caps and mops and inks.
Right.
and like you can't discuss that like with anyone else. So we get it, and I think that that's cool. I think it's cool that yeah, it's still around. I think it's cool that it is in history. I mean, I still like look at walls and I still look at tags and like I get amped when I see cats bombing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I think it's dope. Like those GAC crew dudes,
Oh,
like Ribs and Kest, them dudes are like, and I've met them, and I was like, I was on it. I was like, yo, y'all are my fucking heroes. like, like, yo, I fucking love it. Like I was open. And so I thought was dope was that there was this guy at at my job. He's 63 years old, and he's a good dude. He's an old school rock and roll dude, man. Like, dude also paints as well. Not graph, but he just one day was like, he was like, James, this I see this Kest Ribs Gack all over the place. I'm like, yeah, man, those dudes are fresh,
right.
you
Right.
know. And now this dude, he has nothing to do with graph. Doesn't know that he doesn't. He just knows like, yo, I see this shit everywhere. What the fuck is it?
Right.
And so I reached out, and I was like, yo, Ribs, like I fucking work with this dude. Like, if you can hit me off with a bunch of slaps, bro. He was like, no problem. I got you. Bomb.
Oh man, that's awesome.
And the dude, so he had his like, so he had his, he was gonna he was gonna retire, and he had this party for him at a bar, and right as I left, I'm like, Mike, come, come over here.
Right.
I was like, yo, man, this is for you. I gave him a stack of different slaps. He was like, yo, this dude was open. He was open. He was so open. And like, yeah, man, you know what? So graph saves lives.
Mm,
I thought it was dope, you know. But that's graph. I mean, I think it's fresh. I mean, I can't stop
yeah.
fucking writing my name.
I know it's funny. It's not a thing we can retire from. I think we're always going to be creative, to
Yeah.
the guy. So it's not like, yeah, I'm done. Like, no,
No, done
no,
with what?
right? I'm done thinking. I'm done breathing. Like when I'm done thinking and breathing, then I'm done. I'm in the
Yeah, what's
ground.
that song? What's that song? I think it's by AZ with them dudes. They say like said that the game don't stop till the player gets popped. Like, yeah,
Basically.
yeah, yeah, you know. But yeah, no, I mean, I know that when we spoke about it, I think it's insane that there's fucking graph stores,
Mm.
graph supply stores.
An
It's like,
abundance of colors and spray can and spray paint and even inks like
yeah,
like you know I I love it. I love it. It's become so commonplace. It's a great thing, and to see just random. I think that's one of the things. Like even the street art guys, using supplies that are now so commonplace, but it was like dudes were really going against the grain using it, and that's how it
yeah.
started. I tend to think back, like the first time I think I might have been, 12, anywhere,
That was the same year that I went to hell for snuffing Jesus.
Word. Um, I just remember like the first time a dude, this kid Shem handed me like a scrap, a spray. We were in the handball courts, and I was just after school, middle school, just playing handball, and he just came and was just you know copping tags everywhere, and then he uh he just tossed me. I was like, yo, like, can I get a scrap, like little dude bugging, and then he
Yeah,
gave it, and that was it. Like that's all she wrote. Like it, that the initial smell of the paint, and of
Yeah.
course back then it was either Krylon, Rustos, or that kind of stuff, right?
Mm.
So whenever I use those in particular, just because of the enamel, it is something that brings about this feeling, this it's the smell, this almost like this texture.
Yeah.
What it is, maybe it's like I'm getting high using it, right? But it's just something that takes me back, and it's just
Yeah.
there's nothing like it, you know.
Hmm.
And even though the newer paints are quality wise are just amazing, you know,
Yeah.
but I think for sometimes when, like when you were saying earlier about when you approach things technique wise, that's another thing. You think of the paints that you want to use because you wanted
Yeah.
to, you know, give a certain feeling. You want to create that special aesthetic with it. So
Right.
uh so yeah, like that those things come to mind. Hey, how was your hoops, the show that you did with the
Yeah. It went well. Shar and I, we discussed doing this hoop. Like we did one some years back. I think like I'm gonna say 2 years ago we did one, and we did that one just based off of us just like we just met up one day and we spoke, and I was like, hey, I have these hoops here that I did up on a wall, whatever. She was like, that's great. And then I was like, wait a second, like you sell hoops, like why don't we, let's combine the forces. And
right.
so we decided, we decided to have a show where the first time we just sold paintings.
Mhm.
Now we showed paintings, and of course they were the story behind these joints were she wanted to tell the story of how important gold played the important role that gold played in hip hop.
Mm.
Like,
Mm.
like because you're not going to not wear like bamboo hoops and not be about this culture,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And so I thought her approach, her idea, her vision for that was like, yeah, of course, 50 years of hip hop, like this is one thing that no one really discusses. Like they discuss, I mean, they'll add like, well, hip hop fashion. Yes, this goes along with that. But it brings it more into a real specific thing. It's like fronts, gold ropes, why gold ropes were worn, who wore gold ropes, like the fucking Boy Scouts weren't like you wore gold ropes because you wore gold ropes because you were about doing shit.
Right, right.
And and you can't really talk about fucking hip hop without that shit because kids kids were getting got
Yeah.
for their shit. And there were kids that they were doing their dirt to rock that shit.
Yeah.
And so like I thought it was a great event. More so, um, she hosted a fireside chat with Ray Kwan. And
Mm.
I thought that was dope. And I mean, this painting
Yeah.
is his.
Yeah.
And so hearing him talk about like his fronts and what he went through to get his first fronts and why he wore gold gold back then, I was like, of course, like, of course, like it just made sense it made sense to me, but more so the kids that were in the audience
Mhm.
because they were like, I'm a, I wear gold, I design stuff, you know what I mean? So that room was just filled with people that were part of the inception of hip hop,
Mhm.
young kids that were getting it, I guess, from their folks. Like it was just like it just spanned across different ages. So I thought that shit was dope. So the show went well, and was actually going to show it. It's going to be shown at the museum
Oh, nice.
on yeah on 12/4. So it's going on tour, which I think is great. And yeah, man, it's coming to a town near you. So I think it's dope, man. Yeah. Yeah.
I love
That's
it. I
that's
love
where
it.
it's at. Truck jewelry.
Wow.
Yeah,
That that
man.
that is something, as funny as it is, you might have said it in jest, but it's still something uh I can still see pop up in different areas and different cities
Of
because like
course.
it really is a statement. Gold
Yeah.
really is a statement. And like, of course, in Atlanta, of course, in LA, like you can
Hmm.
see it in those places. Um, and it's undeniable. It's not like you're gonna see uh, a Becky wearing hoops and bamboos and she's not about it. Like it's not that type of it's not,
Yeah.
you know, uh
Yeah. No, I'm.
you're not gonna see
So
Karen wearing one, you know what I mean? Like uh but
that
yeah,
that was her. I mean, when we first spoke about the show, that was her. That was the end goal. Was like this this group of 17 paintings need to end up in a museum, in a museum type of institution because they do have that. They do have that weight.
right.
They are they are something that should be discussed. Like I could see someone who doesn't know anything about hip hop and be like, "Yo, what the fuck are those things?"
Right.
And I know whether you're part of the culture or not, you've seen some woman either in a video or on
In the fashion
shows that,
magazine, yeah,
yeah,
something.
be like,
Yeah,
yo, I've seen that before.
yeah,
What's the story with this shit?
yeah.
Fucking bamboo hoops and the fact that they have cool names like the
Right.
Viking hoop and I mean, I mean, yo, man, that's like one thing I know, not to go off on this thing, but I know that recently the brother Mahadi had made a post on how important the language of the 5% nation has played in hip hop. And
Mm,
like you think about all the artists, all the MCs back then, 10 out of 10 were God body.
yeah.
And so like, you have that's like I would see that as this that's the spiritual side, you know, of the culture.
Right.
The Egyptian musk that everyone wore, that's the
Still wear.
protection.
Still wear.
Huh? Yeah, that still wear it.
Right.
I know that it's hard. Like I know what I want to say, I just don't know how to say it, but it's all this thing that's part of the hip hop culture.
Um,
And so,
that like I feel this was a process that I've been going through recently. Like for the past year, I've been focusing on writing a lot, and uh,
like writing what? Like writing stories
I've been
or
um
writing.
little writing, right? And because like I have some concepts for children's books that I've been developing. I've been working on like an autobiographical, you know, it started out as like a zine concept, but more and more it's like, it needs to turn into like a book just to
Mm,
showcase a lot of what I've experienced and been through, especially within the industry. And then I've been writing a lot for different in just building and
yeah.
and things like that. And with that writing, the process of it is so easy. I've realized how easy it is for us, you know, to put something together visually, and it automatically gets um people get it. They
Right.
get the understanding behind it. It paints, gives them the idea. It's like we don't have to speak. I'll show you this picture, and then next, boom, exactly
Right.
where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah.
So this has been the opposite. I said, let me try to write along with some of the imagery. Let me work on expressing myself in a literal sense. Um, and it's hard. It's even harder, I think, for us because our language is it's extremely visual.
Yeah.
And um
Yeah.
taking the time to really try to, like, it makes me appreciate and I give praises to dudes that take the time to really, uh hone in on that craft. Like, I think about back I think about when dudes first began writing articles, right?
Yeah.
About like Ket used to have stress and how he used to write, and Chino used to, and still does writing and
Yeah.
all
And
art.
Bones Malone.
Yeah, man, and all those articles that these guys used to write, how they've touched so many. Like I remember an article that I wrote that I didn't think anything of back in the 90s for Rat Pages. Um, that dude Curve was like, yo, I remember that article. I remember this issue in this
Yeah.
magazine. And and it was like, it's such a, and he was coming from a very sincere spot. How,
That's dope.
like, it really did touch him, and it really did, like, reach him.
Yeah.
And I was like, but back then I wasn't even thinking of writing a certain way, or I just wanted to share certain inspiration. So that process of trying to, truly articulate what it is that's in our minds, and it's almost like deciphering the visual aspect of what we see, like how early you're like, I can see it, right? I can
Yeah.
see it. um, I'm just trying to put the pieces together to get to that point where
Yeah.
it's like, okay, can you write it? Can you close your eyes and just write? Like, that's going to be
Yeah.
even hard,
Yeah.
and that's been part of the process I've been going through now. And it's been forcing me to kind of channel a different side of creativity.
Right.
Um, and it's been interesting because even for a while, I like when we first started coming around, like, that one connection with, like, between Fuse, you and myself, when we were all working together,
Yeah.
there's a good synergy there, that, and trust, that we were passing artworks and we were all very confident in what the other person was doing, right?
Right.
And um because of that type of synergy, because of that type of creative, that level of respect creatively, right? It it makes me realize more and more how crucial it is, because even when we were painting, there were some people that we can paint walls with and do pieces with that we were okay with, but it wasn't like that all the time, right? It was more
Right.
like, I'm just me. Um, with that type of creativity, that type of synergy, when it comes along, it is super special and
Hmm.
unique, and that doesn't ever, like, you don't ever lose it, you don't ever leave it. It's
Yeah.
always there. And forcing myself to, because for a while I was trying to stay away from the computers. I just really wanted to get into uh, um, being as analog as possible, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I'm with that.
you were a great deal of that process, because of, how you work, and just, you would always be like, yo, take a step back,
Yeah.
try it like this. And learning that process and seeing you go through it and working on it was really like, I got to do it. And then after a while, it was like, but I also like using the computer as a tool to kind of finish off certain things that I'm
Yeah.
doing. And I know visually, I know I could take it and replicate it. And it was also another part of learning more about myself creatively wise, because it
Right.
was, at one point I didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Hmm.
Um, so now I'm like, I love seeing the creative process. And for personally, for my work, and when I do things, I'm more willing and accepting of the different tools at that I have access to, whether it's something dealing with video editing, or motion graphics, or Illustrator, Photoshop, or just sketching, pencil, number two pencil, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's still elevates whatever craft it is,
Yep.
what
Yep.
the end game that I'm working on. And
Right.
with this process, I wanted to come to you and ask you about the idea behind your orange and black color scheme, and how, because your work from back then wasn't always that, but I feel like
Yeah.
once you honed in on that, that was like, that sealed the deal. Like that's leaving
Yeah.
your, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? As all the
Yeah.
works that you do, your humor has always been in your artwork, and it always comes out. It's I I
It's
can't
little.
help but look at your work and hear your voice, and
Yeah.
just, it's always a trip. So I'm just curious if you could kind of, you know,
Yeah.
explain that.
So before I do that, I want to go back to what you what I want to go back to what you were saying about your writing, right? And I think what's I I think what's I think what's really, really special with this hip hop culture, because you don't hear about it in like in the art movements of the past, or whatever the fuck it is, right? I think what's great about one of the things that's great about this hip hop culture thing is that have you pass on the tales. There's stories upon stories of like there's things that you've been through, things that I've been through that you'll pass down to James, and you pass down to Chris and to your daughter, and I'll do that, and it goes on and on and on and on. Like you would never hear like, well, I was hanging out with Pablo Picasso the other day, and he was acting like an asshole, and
Right.
like you kind of get it with like with the Jean Michels and Keith Harings, whatever, but they were part of the hip hop world as well, that we passed that on.
Yeah.
And I think all the MCs that we like, that's what they do. You love to hear the story again and again. Like that's what we do. And even like when you're bombing, like some dudes who write like little things, like when Lee, like if art is a crime, whatever, graffiti, like this, oh, people always saying shit.
Yeah.
And I think that you deciding to take a step to like do this and write, I think that's dope. That's part of the culture. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? Um, I do remember like what you were saying, I do remember Ket's words. I remember Bones's words. I remember Ricky Powell's words. I think that
Yeah.
those dudes, like, yeah, like they spoke in a way that yeah, we got it. I think, and then one thing that got me not upset, but one thing where I was like, no, you don't want to write, like, if you're writing the word don't write DAH. Just write
Right.
THE, bro. Like, come on,
Right.
you
Right.
know, like every fucking barbershop back in the day was like, the cuts.
Yeah.
Like, nah. But, so now to jump to the orange and black, I think, and, I've been recently, I'm only recently seeing this, that I have a mannerism that can be a little bit like extra when I don't have to be extra. And I think that is in me. I think my tag of Bluster, that's what it is, right? And so I came out with I did the first joint black on black on orange, because that was the only paint I had at the time.
Mm.
And I did this wall across the street from where we lived on 152, and I did it for Father's Day. Where I'm like, yo, you know what, man? That fucking wall is gray. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna go paint that shit. And Lori was like, okay. And I was like, watch, watch. I'm gonna do that shit. And I went across the street. I spoke with the guys there. I'm like, yo, man, I live across the street. I paint. That's what I do. I was like, yo, can I just paint this fucking wall, whatever? And they were like, yo, okay, yeah, do whatever you want. Yeah, papa. And I rocked it. I rocked it. I painted that shit white with it's like white base paint, kills or whatever it was. White, laid on the orange, came back with the black, and it was fresh. And then like what got me was that the fact that that was the two joints I had at the time made sense to me because Keith Haring did did the did the Crackers Whack Wall. He did one up on 126, excuse
Mm,
me, on the FDR Drive, but the
yeah.
first one he did was downtown in the lower. And so I like to think that maybe that shit had something to do with that. I don't know, but to paint to paint to for for me to paint in a real minimal palette makes sense,
Right.
right? I'm not gonna like try to like cover things up with like fancy blends and like do the 3D like this. I'm gonna hit you with just black and orange. It's clear. There'll be some shading, but I just want you to see the shit that I do off the top of my head.
Right.
And I was told about it. This is, I painted one of the walls that Wen had for the Boone Avenue shit,
Mhm.
but he had a wall on 131st, 132 in the Bronx. And when was like, yo, just do what you do. And so I didn't know that word on the street is, yo, this dude does this shit off the top, off the top of his head.
Mhm.
Word on the street is like, yo, man, you paint fast. And I didn't know this, but that like there were dudes there that heard that I was there and they wanted to like see if that shit was true.
Uh,
And so when I did perform, they were like, yo, gone, man. I didn't realize. I was like, yeah, bro, like what's the time now? Like I gotta work. And
you're the white
and
rabbit. I'm late. I'm late. I'm late.
yeah, I mean, because like, like when you paint, like I understand it's nice, to be there with the crew and you chit chat
Yeah.
and everything, and people come through and they want to remember back in the day. Like I don't really have time like that. And I'm not saying to waste, but I just have other things I have to do as well. And I
Right.
just really want to enjoy rocking with the crew, doing when we piece. But if I'm supposed to
Yeah.
paint on my own shit, on the good, strange shit, then I want to be left alone. Or you know what? Talk all the shit that you have to talk, and I can hear you, but let me just work, and then and then we could talk talk like once it's done. But I thought what was fresh was that I had rolled up, and Mears was getting done with his joint, and
Mm.
so Mears was doing this really dope staying fucking like this ill. He was doing some really cool shit. He was explaining it to me that it's a one liner, like the whole
Mm.
piece is like a one line joint. It was fresh, and I thought it was cool because he was getting done with his, and I was gonna start on mine, and I made it a point to where he had left spaces open that I was just gonna like take from there. So when he saw it, he goes, yo, I didn't realize. I'm like, yeah, dude. I'm like, yo, it had to speak the same. They had to work though together.
Right. Right.
Like that there is no like that's Mir. Like you could tell that that's Mir's further down the line, but where they meet, it to to me, that cusp has to be an easy transition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like it can't be like, oh, and then I just put a star next to it. Like, nah, dude, like
Yeah.
it has to flow. It's like when you hear someone like who's mixing records, like you could tell when they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You can when they don't know what, you know, like, yeah, well, like what's the song now this is playing now? Fuck out of here. But yeah, so So the black and the orange popped off, and I've been lucky enough to like have dudes like when say like, yo man, just fucking paint it, bro. Like
Right.
just do your shit. And he understands the importance to show the graffiti world that this dude can do this at a large scale by himself, and he can also with totem. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but it's important that for the whole of us that we can flip styles and do that shit, because like if someone wants to battle, like
Mhm.
I'm not gonna turn them down because it's fun shit. Like let's do the shit for fucking fun. Like this is what
Right.
it is. But like I can piece with the best of them, and I could also do this shit. So like what bar do you want me to like? Do you want me to piece with you, or do you want to come and rock and roll with me over here? Like I'm down for whatever. Like
You,
there's no guest list here.
you want to get white glove, or you just want to get bare knuckle, pick and
Like
choose.
what do you want to do? Like this is what like let's piece.
Right, right.
Like and and it it really is about to to me it's important to understand to 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 look at a letter form, and one, you're not doing anything different, but what does that letter do to your brain? Like how do you see that shit working? Because it's not going to be the same. You know what? I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop and just say Wayne.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
If you want to discuss the art of the manipulation of the yo,
Yeah.
talk with
Yeah.
Wayne.
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
somebody I gotta we definitely gotta get a call in with him. He has man it
yeah.
that's just
You don't
he's a
even.
whole other that's just something totally yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah, yeah. Like Wayne,
You had to say Wayne and then put an exclamation point at the end. Like that's what maybe three exclamation points for you to get.
like, and this is not going to be about Wayne. This is about me
Mm.
because Wayne already has really done shit. But like, I give Wayne excess amount of dap that he doesn't even like. Dude, just not only like the dude is a good dude too,
Yeah,
and and that makes him even cooler.
yeah,
That makes me respect his work even more. But yeah, so like Wayne and when sees how important that it is to have the culture move, and he's also been super lucky with his Boone Avenue joints where it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
that's
Yeah,
awesome. That's great
indeed.
to hear. That's great to
Yeah,
hear.
yeah. I mean, no one would expect this culture, this graffiti shit to be where it is.
No,
You know, I'm I'm not mad about it, and I'm trying to just not that I'm trying. I'm always trying to find a way to express myself, and like what you were saying, those little jokes that I write and things that I just say and do is just that's part of it.
right.
You know, you know.
I can, I can dig it. Well, with that being said, I think yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, like beep beep gaga, vomit, all that stuff. That stuff is all that's just all part of it. Things I write on my things, like I have two working. I have two for the show that I'm seeing in 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 my head. I already have like when it's gonna happen. The show's gonna happen in the springtime. I have two working titles that I want to go with. I don't know if I sent them to you or not, but the first one was it was who do you think you are,
Mhm.
which talks about how you change. You can't be the same person that you were 2 hours ago. So when someone, right? So when you say to someone like, who do you think you're talking to like
Mhm.
that? Should be like, who do you think? Because I don't know who I am. You know.
That
So it was going to
that's a
be,
brilliant title, by the way. That is
yeah,
brilliant. Because even the show, whatever you do, oh my God, that's just an amazing title. Because I think like we're the type that whenever we do our work, we, for lack of a better term, kind of, we're done with it. And what's the next? Right? Like we don't really allow ourselves to appreciate the work that we've done. Like we did it. We in our mind is more of a task. Uh, you know, how can I accomplish X,
yeah,
Y, Z within, the ABC period of time that I have, right?
mhm,
And then I want to go to distance, elemental P with it. You know what I mean? Like, so it is really how extravagant or how much of a deep dive we want to do with the project. And we always look at it in a logistics way. And once we're done, we're like, all right, cool. What's next? And
well, I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, like that's the idea. The moment you said, like, who do you think you are? And we're not the same that we were 2 hours ago. Like the moment you finish the show, the moment you finish the project, the moment you're done with the very last canvas, the process from when you started the first canvas to the last piece,
Yeah,
two different approaches. And then by the time that's said and done, you're kind of like, okay, what can I do next? And thinking of the next, creative process and how you, instead of sometimes just, sitting and doing that. Because for me, it's rare that I sit and I study a work that I just did. Like
right.
it doesn't happen often. But I might give it a little bit of life where I'm looking
Mm,
at it and dissecting it and really allowing myself to fall into what I just created. Um,
yeah,
but would I do it again? And that's where it's like, who do you think? The moment you said, "Who do you think you are?" Like, no, I'm gonna do it differently. I can't do it the same way I originally did it. It's impossible. So,
yeah.
blew my
Well,
brain.
it's it falls on those lines of the 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 necessity in living dual lives, in this hip hop culture,
Mm.
because no one knows you as James.
Right.
Certain, right? It's like certain people know they they know me as James. And when I was a kid and I would play fucking Manhunt, they would know me as Speedy because I used to run fast. Then I became this Bluster dude
Yeah.
at 12. And so like you think like so who do you think you are? It's like we all everyone who's in the culture don't go by their government names.
Right.
We have become these things that we think we are. We don't know who the fuck we are. And
Yeah.
that's just one of the layers in this cake of bullshit, right? This seven layer cake of bullshit. And it's like there's that layer.
Mm.
And then if you're a dad, now you're a dad who does these things, but you're a dad because you have kids. And then if you have a full-time gig, you're James that does this, and you're constantly trying to find like, yo, I'm trying to figure out what is those like two little things on my shoulder telling me like, maybe you should take a tag on that wall.
Right.
Right, because this is part of this thing that I think that I am.
Right.
And so and then when there's when there's no fucking dust to smoke or no drinks to drink. And then because then when you do that shit, now you become super bluster
Right.
under, there's like we're constantly trying to figure out who we are if you're trying to live that fucking lifestyle. And
Yeah.
it's not even a lifestyle, it's just that's that's what it is. And if you're a person of color, that's another layer of this bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
like, like, like my folks were like, he's not going to be called Juan or Jose because we want him to live this certain way under this name, James Keith. I mean, like that's a yacht club name. So, so what am I supposed to do here?
Oh, oh shit. Right. Right.
Oh, Pop, I'm going to go to the High School of Art and Design. What? You mean you're not going to join the Marine Corps and be a man like me? Like, no,
Right.
I want to draw. You want to draw? What the fuck is that about? So I think the name of the show, well, that's going to be one show, so I can go deep on that bullshit. The other title was going to be I don't have 15 I don't have 15 minutes to be famous,
Mm.
which speaks about, time. Time is moving.
I can't with you right
Time
now.
is
I
running.
just can't. I can't, bro.
Yeah.
I love them. I right there. They speak volumes, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect it from anybody else but you.
It's gonna be fun. That's the tagline of good strange. They're all gonna laugh at you.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, dude.
I love it. Well, shoot, bro. I'm definitely. I'm gonna say let we got to wrap out again. You know. And I truly appreciate your time right now. I think this is as always, it's always real insightful and fucking. It's just always a great time just chopping
Yeah,
it.
we gotta do it. We gotta do it more often.
Yeah,
We gotta do it more often because we have to stay in touch because time is definitely running, and I don't want to get too stuck in my shit. I don't want you to get too stuck in your shit that we don't fucking reach out and be like, yo, you good? You
word.
know what I mean? Like a phone call, not texting and doing this bullshit. Like
Yeah,
a phone call, like, yo, I could hear a voice.
yeah. I could
But
see an expression. I could see
yeah, some real shit.
Yeah,
Self-esteem made it seem like a thought took years to build. Love that line, bro. Love that line. Live by that line. Heard up.
word.
All right, man. So on to the next.
Yes, for sure. And then thanks once again, Bluster.
No doubt, Mr. EOS. No,
All
not
right.
even style. The stroke of genius.
Um,
I always like that hand coming out of the clouds.
that is
Stroke of genius.
that is how quick the ideas come. You know, and what's the saying that they say from God's mouth to your ears is like a instant lightning bolt with the idea. Like that's part of
Stroke
it.
of genius. Stroke of genius is a dope fucking name because because it talks about building. You know what I mean? Strokes of genius, like, yo, I got this. Don't worry. These are the strokes that I'm laying down. I got this. I'm gonna build this castle, and it's gonna be right because I'm a genius because it's coming from a cloud, bro. The hand out of a cloud is crazy.
Yeah.
All
Like,
right, brother, man. I'm gonna take this to someplace else. But look, just real quick. I know that you have to go. Let me just show you something real quick. So I got these binders, like this big ass binder. It's like this. I mean, I don't know if you can see it,
oh wow.
but it's like I have two of these big binders filled with drawings. And look, the first thing that shows up is Egyptian musk.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So that's
I
it, bro.
love it. All right,
Peace.
brother. Peace.
Get some rest, Dad.
All
Tomorrow's
right,
another day.
for sure. You too, bro. Peace.